Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there, back into the Sports Buffoons clan in our brand new studio once again. Happy to be here once again in Lenexa, Kansas. How's everybody doing out there? Tanner, Jason, JG, we got Mike here running it. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well, man.
What's up, y'all? This your boy, JG.
All right. Well, what are you sipping on, JG, now that you're getting a little crank over there?
Well, we got a little Capriccio watermelon sangria. It's well known to change your voice, like it just changed my voice, so you should try it sometime.
Nice, I like that. What about you, Tanner?
I got put in charge to down the rest of this Jack Daniels whiskey, so I got that in the glass with a splash of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, just choke it on down, Tanner. Do whatever you got to do.
Hey, it'll last me the whole show.
Yeah, it probably will. I mean, you got a full glass, so as you guys can see, I don't know if the helmet actually is hiding your whiskey, so...
It might be.
Well, also, you guys should be really excited. You know why? We're officially in game day week, so this is the first week we've had since the Super Bowl where we're looking forward to a Chiefs game day. And so that just makes this week here even better. If you're looking forward to the weekend, preseason week 1 coming right up. That's going to be super exciting. Yes. Now, we do have some bad news from last week, you guys out there listening. I know we were talking about how we were going to do a post-training camp show as we all went up to St. Joe. We did do that. That actually did happen, but the audio got lost directly after. So
yes,
that
poor
was
signal. It was poor cell signal.
Yes, exactly. We were actually at a winery called Jowler Creek.
Yes.
Was a winery we were at, hanging out, sipping on some wine with some friends as well. We actually had a special guest even, and now that's all lost and somewhere out in the world, I guess, but never to be found again.
Right.
But we did see a lot of cool things at camp, absolutely. It was just great to be back out there once again. I thought the environment was good, and also I like how they opened it up more this year for more walking room access for the fans, too.
Yeah, it seemed really well done. After being a year off and everything, they got that new berm on the other side now instead of a standing way, and you can actually get up on the hill and see practice either way on both fields, and we had a great view for our area. And I know, Jason, you got to go to the bleachers on the other side as well later on, and I'm sure that was still a fantastic view to watch practice on.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day because a lot of times you go to Chiefs camp and it's just hot as hell and you can't even breathe out there, but it was a lot of clouds that day, and so it was a beautiful day to watch Chiefs camp for sure.
Yeah, so that day, I know we did talk about it in our show that will never be found again, but what guys stood out to you, just for the audience out there that never did get a chance to hear all that? What stood out the most? What player stood out the most? Or what about camp itself? What about practice stood out the most to you guys?
Yeah, I think for me it's McCole Hardman, just the fact that he was being used all over the place. And, it's kind of the question that we always ask is who's going to take the next step forward? Who's going to be the next guy as far as receivers are concerned to take the next step forward? I think for me it's McCole Hardman, and I think he's up to the challenge based on what I've seen in Chiefs camp. I mean, they're using him. I think his usage rate is going to go up, and he seems like he's going to be a dependable guy this year. And so for me, I'm all on to McCole Hardman.
Yeah, the deep post route seems to be a favorite of his so far in camp. He's been going deep a lot. Last year, his longest catch of the year was 49 yards. We know he's capable of going 80 or 90 if he needed. So I think they're going to be using him definitely without a doubt in the deep passing game. But I definitely just thought it was clean all the way around. And we saw some shovel pass game. I thought it was interesting to see some of the misdirection once again, which Andy Reid's always been known for. So overall, just a clean practice. Like, this team looks like a Super Bowl team, how that should be ran. So they just looked really good all together. I know a couple plays that stood out in particular. We got a few on TikTok, actually, now that we're on there for the Sports Buffoons channel. So Tanner got that set up for us. So those of you out there that want to give us a follow, do that. And we put up as much footage and audio as we can as time goes on. But yeah, I think Noah Gray stood out to me. I thought he looked good. And
Noah Gray looked
I think
great.
He's going to be active and a part of the team without a doubt immediately. But otherwise, I mean, you had your normal superstars, or Kelsey and Tyreek was beating everybody on the field. So that was the main thing.
That's kind of the crazy part. Still seeing the athletic ability by Kelsey going against some of these new defenders, and how much he stands out from like a Noah Gray or even Blake Bell. Like, just the difference in athletic level of those tight ends right now, or the Fortson, right? Jody Fortson. So I don't know. It's just amazing to me. I agree with Jason, though. Mecole did stand out. It was the workload is what got me. the workload. He was out there not only working with the offense, the first team, second team offense, but he was also out there returning punts, guys. So the guy's not losing his special teams job by any means, from what it looks like. And that's kind of what I expected maybe Powell to step into as he comes in as a rookie, but apparently not. Apparently it's going to be a Mecole Hardman show, kind of like it was the Tyreek show a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I think one of the things about Hardman is going to be that he is versatile on the field, absolutely, but also I think this offense is going to be dictated towards whoever's on the field as for the certain type of play call that's coming in too. So Hardman's not going to be on the field for every play like you'd assume Tyreek would be. They might bring in some packages where you see some Pringle out there. You're going to see different guys go out in the field. They're maybe bigger-bodied. Cornell Powell could end up getting involved in the offense for some of the running game just to have those bigger-bodied guys as blockers, whereas your Mecole Hardmans of the world aren't exactly going to be out there on toss sweeps to his size. You're not going to really going to want that anyways.
No.
Now, Tanner, one guy that stood out to you quite a bit, I'm kind of curious of your input and thought, is Devon Key from Western Kentucky, undrafted free agent rookie. He is getting a lot of praise right now from the staff and from coaches, and the fans are starting to take notice too. Really good athlete, obviously. Bigger bodied guy. I think he's like 6 foot tall, a little over 200 pounds. Got good speed, good high weight speed, all that combined. Coaches called him instinctive, in fact.
They did.
This is looking like a guy, because every year it seems like we have a Tershawn Wharton type of guy that's undrafted free agent and makes the team out of nowhere. He seems to be our guy this year. So what do you think about Key? How's he going to impact the team?
I think it's going to be a guy that actually kicks off our buddy Armani Watts, who's been around for a while. I think he actually takes that roster spot. But he's also a guy that Spags is going to be able to use sparingly through some of his packages he likes to run with multiple safeties on the field, using his linebacker. The guy can run out. I saw him, we saw him in coverage, but we saw him a lot. He was up there with Sorensen and also Matthew at times, where he was taking the blitz out. He was heading in, and he would work around the edge while Matthew worked inside. So I thought it was kind of interesting seeing Devon Key work with the first-team defense majority of the practice that we were at, but he's been doing that throughout training camp as well after, third camp. Spags started sticking him out there.
Yeah.
So the guy has a chance. He has a great opportunity. Obviously, he looks like a great player to me on just seeing him up front. I was really impressed with just his feet and just the ability to learn. He made a mistake. Matthew came over and talked to him, and they ran a similar play about 3 or 4 plays later, cut right into it, and pretty much got the sack, is what you would say. So, you can't tackle the quarterback yet.
Right.
So, but it was just really impressive to see this guy come out of nowhere, undrafted free agent, another Veach possible win, kind of like similar to maybe a Marcus Cooper kind of signing, or a few years ago.
From a little ways back. Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of those guys that, every year it seems like we do have at least one undrafted free agent make the team. And I think this is going to be an important position to fill because Sorensen is getting older right now. So he's a guy who's been on this team now for quite a while. But his time will come eventually. Juan Thornhill, had a hard time getting back from his injury last season. Towards the back end of the year, got a little bit better, a little bit healthier. But the Chiefs run so many 3 safety sets that he is a guy that can be on the field if there is an injury that ends up happening in that defensive backfield. So he's a guy to watch out for, absolutely. I think he does take, I agree with you, Armani Watts' position on this team, which means he will be an impact player on special teams right away. And so that'll be his main role from the beginning, but also potentially substituting in every once in a while as a third or fourth safety on the field as well. So, Jason, what else stood out to you about this team right now and how camp's going currently?
Yeah, for me, one of the first things I looked at is defense because we don't have a lot of expectations, as far as offense. We know what they bring to the table. So for me, I'm always going to look at the defensive side of the ball first, and for me, it starts with Chris Jones. He's looked great all throughout camp. They're moving him around as far as defensive tackle and edge rusher. He's moving all over the place. Also, Jerron Reed has made some big plays throughout camp as a pass rusher and in stopping the run. And I think that duo is going to be something to watch this year on the defensive side is Chris Jones, Jerron Reed. I think they're going to be devastating to opposing offenses this year.
Yeah, and Mike Dana actually got praise from Spags a couple days ago in the press conference. The way he comes in, he works, he's just mentally ready at all times, and when he does make a mistake, he's one of the guys that works to fix it, and he doesn't make it again. Spags said he doesn't repeat mistakes, and that's the huge thing about Mike Dana lately. That could take a Alex Okafor spot too. We signed him. The guy's out with a hamstring again, who which was the entire year pretty much last year, for the past 2 years, really.
Mm-hmm.
So that could, I mean, McDaniel continues to roll and impress the coaches and make plays. We'll have to see preseason game coming up, obviously. But that could be Okafor on his way out.
Yeah, Dana struck me a lot as a guy who's great against the run defense last year in limited playing time. I don't know if he's shown enough for me as a pass rusher yet, but you still have a role on this team if you could stop the run, without a doubt. So I think really we've talked a lot about Chris Jones, and I think that people are kind of curious now because throughout camp at this point, people have been talking about Orlando Brown Jr. getting pushed around a bit by guys like Chris Jones and Jerron Reed and stuff like that. Guys moving around, going against him, and some people are like kind of curious, like, whoa, how was Orlando Brown struggling so much? And I think Chris Jones, I mean, with him, I think he lost 5 to 10 pounds on the offseason, and I think that his pass rush ability coming off the edge is going to be amazing because we've all at times complained a little bit about CJ struggling against the run.
Yeah.
And I think him being in an edge position here can just really help him focus in on rushing the passer, getting off the edge, and then also the containment area of setting the edge as well. Having a bigger bodied guy is great to have on that D-line at the defensive end position.
Yeah, and we talked about this last week a little bit, the mentality some of these returning guys have, right? We have a few new guys, a lot of new guys actually, but at least returning guys. CJ is one of them. Spags, he goes out to, I saw a clip today, and it was awesome to see. I didn't see it yet, but he goes out to CJ, he goes, CJ, it's 3rd and 5, last couple play against the Browns. Show me what you got. And he was going against Brown and completely just demolished him. And that's the thing, though, is CJ is one of these returning guys with the mentality of, I lost the Super Bowl. I did not perform well. None of us performed well. But now he has a new mindset. It's a payback, revenge, right? The revenge season. Orlando Brown didn't have that season. Mm-hmm. He was with the Ravens, for God's sake, right? With Lamar, and you're only getting so far. So it's not really I don't want to say it's a huge downset for Orlando Brown. I'm not really worried about him. I'm more of impressed by CJ, though he's stepping up into this new role, because a lot of times he's the only one on that one side, and Spags has been really pushing the other guys, forcing them into the other side, leaving CJ alone. So Spags is looking at CJ to not only be a solid leader, but to be a Tyrann Mathieu type of player this year, a playmaker by himself doing things.
Yeah, and even if we still had Eric Fisher on this team at left tackle, he didn't want to go against Chris Jones right now in camp.
No.
So, I mean, like, no one wants to go against Chris Jones right now. So that's the thing is that with a big-bodied guy like that who's strong as hell, I mean, the bull rush on him is incredible. So just getting up into your face like that, the way he does, is not something anyone wants to put up with. But yeah, I'm not worried about Orlando Brown Jr. right now.
Not right now.
When the real games come along, I think we'll see Brown do just fine in his role. I'm sure left tackles across the league are taking notice of Chris Jones, though, because even CBS did finally report that when the Chiefs put out their depth chart, he is listed at defensive tackle. So, or defensive end, I mean.
D.
Yes, yes. So,
That's
I'm looking forward to it. Now, guys, rolling in here to the preseason week 1, I don't care so much about the opponent. That's really not necessary. It's more about just watching how our guys perform in individuals, basically. Preseason is more about individual work than it is teamwork. And so I think this is something to watch out for. I think we will see the starters probably play, maybe 2 series.
I mean, it's a new offseason, guys. We only got 3 games.
Yeah.
So there's not, and we have that week off between the last preseason game and the beginning of the season. So we got to remember that too. It's not just because there's 4. We still have 4 weeks technically, but just as 3 games in those weeks.
Yeah, and they made cut down dates a little different this year too. So you cut down 5 after the first week, 5 again after the second, and then they go from 80 down to 53 after the 3rd game. But for me, this game, I think we will see extra long reps or more reps from the offensive line in this game.
Yes.
I think whenever Mahomes comes out after one series, the starting offensive line, will be still staying in there for a while as well with Chad Henne. Because I think those rookies need to get some work. Lucas Niang needs to get real action against a different face, after sitting out. And then Creed Humphrey, I've heard some rumors he struggled here and there with his shotgun snaps. So I think that's going to be something they're going to be making sure he's got a handle of before we get rolling into week 1. And obviously Trey Smith, a 6th-rounder from Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about him throughout camp. And the team loves him. Like, the guy's just mauling everybody. So I think they might have a steal on their hands with Trey Smith. But I think we're all really excited to watch how the offensive line performs, especially in the run game, because we have had traditionally a weak offensive line in the run game in Andy Reid's history.
So we do need Trey Smith to have a strong game because we lost Laurent Duvernay Tardif, that Canadian doctor with a broken hand out.
Wait, how did you pronounce that name?
Laurent Duvernay Tardif.
That's close enough.
Duvernay Tardif.
Tardif.
Yes.
The Canadian doctor.
So that really hurts him, Tanner, because I already feel like he was a guy that might not make the team.
I think he was on the outside looking in. Right
so,
now. But we also have Mike Remmers on the offensive line, also out with that back injury. Most likely he will not play in this game as well.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. You're going to have extra long time with the young guys in this game. So that'll be great to look forward to. And obviously see, Clyde Edwards-Helaire for probably a series or two. And then see Jerick McKinnon probably for most of the game in the back half of the game. So I think the Chiefs are just going to want to see the young guys and what they have. I mean, we're going to see, like the guy we just talked about, Devon Key, is going to probably play over half the game.
Kendo.
Yeah, Joshua Kendo is going to be playing a ton of snaps. So Mike Dan is going to play a ton of snaps.
Bolton.
And Nick Bolton should be playing, and I would assume at least the first quarter, maybe more.
Because Willie Gay is still on concussion protocol.
Yeah, so that's going to be unfortunate if he does not get playing time, because Willie Gay is also one who does need playing time.
Correct.
And so it'll miss having him out there. But so, anyways, you guys, who are you looking forward to the most besides offensive line watching this Week 1 preseason game?
Yeah, Week 1, I'm with you. I'm looking at Creed Humphrey. I think he's going to be a monster, 6'5", 312 pounds. I'm looking to see what he can do. But also, a big player for me is going to be Noah Gray. And I want to see how many dual tight end sets they're going to run with him and Kelsey, especially in that third preseason game, because that's kind of the one where we look at the starters and what we have to look forward to as far as the first regular season game. So
they could do that still with Bell, but just pretend like it's Kelsey.
They could.
It's about alignments, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm most interested in. Is I want to see how Noah Gray is going to be implemented into the first string offense.
Absolutely, I think he could be actually a superstar of the game. Absolutely, because he should get a lot of playing time.
He should. So my side's on the actual wide receiving core. Cornell Powell. That's who I'm looking forward to seeing perform. Antonio Callaway does have a bum bruise. Most likely he may sit this one out. It's potential. He is questionable right now. But I think Cornell Powell, just his size, his ability, Bieniemy was very confident with him of learning, of gaining the trust with the quarterback. He still has a lot of room to work with his playmaking ability. But I anticipate to see some potential big plays with Powell heading down the sideline as well. Kind of similar to what we saw with Pringle a couple of years ago when he was on the offseason. We saw some big plays from him. So I'm hoping to see something similar with Powell as he starts feeling more comfortable within this offense.
Yeah, and Pringle's got a lot to show too, because he's a guy that he'll make this team, but he also he's had not as much room to work with in the offense over the last 2 years either. So he's a guy that deserves more playing time, I believe, because we've seen him step up. He even had a 100-yard game at one point in his career with Patrick Mahomes. Whenever I think Watkins was out, Tyreek was out, and Pringle ended up going in there and having a great game with Mahomes. The Chiefs did lose that game actually to the Colts in that game. But I think he's a guy who's proven himself to where when he is on the field, he has put up quality numbers and done a good job overall. So, yeah, I agree with Cornell Powell. I've heard some rumors. I heard a guy on the radio actually speaking today about how he looks a little bit lost out there as far as getting a grasp of the Andy Reid offense. And that's normal. That's very natural. This isn't an offense, that's super simple to learn as a quarterback or a receiver.
No, when Clyde said it was easy last year, guys, this was almost a similar type of offense that he worked with in LSU, in a way. And, I mean, when you also have a guy you're working directly behind with Patrick Mahomes, and you had Daryl Williams, who'd been in the system for a year or so, you got multiple guys to help you out. Powell, I think he's just trying to figure it all out between the Clemson offense and Chiefs offense.
And it's hard to compare those two positions, too, because as a running back for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it probably is a lot easier. I mean, like I've always said about running backs, that's a more instinctive position than learning how to be a wide receiver. That does take time. And then, as far as, the depth in your steps and everything like that, I mean, it's going to be different than what he might have learned at Clemson. So those are not as instinctive as much as they are trained through coaching and everything like that. We're running backs. That's why we see successful rookies every single year come out and put up solid numbers. It's because they can just really play off their instincts in a lot of ways and be good. I mean, we saw Clyde Week 1 last year make the Texans look like fools right away. And Clyde's obviously proven to be a great player beyond that. But I think it's just different coming from running back to receiver. And it's fine. We can let Powell learn. He doesn't need to come start right away. Get him integrated.
He's not in the
time.
conversation for number 2, obviously.
Yeah.
We got depth here. So, Mike, who are you looking forward to seeing this week?
Yeah, Jason kind of stole my thunder a little bit about Noah Gray, of course. I mean, that's my guy. But I think overall, though, it's just that right side of the offensive line, without a doubt. That's my guys that I'm looking forward to the most. Because we've obviously talked about Lucas Nyang quite a bit the last year and a half. And I was a big fan of the Kareem Hunt pick when we took him from OU. And then we've only heard good things about Trey Smith. So for me, I hope they play an entire half of this game. Because I think it'd be great to get that offensive line cohesive and together and used to playing snap by snap together and just get, gel together basically a little ways. Because if you guys remember back when the Chiefs had their offensive line from 01 to 05, but between Willie Roaf and Will Shields, Casey Wegman, and then Brian Waters, those guys were all together for like 3 years straight. Like they didn't miss a snap together. And that was the best offensive line in the entire game for like 4 or 5 years running. So I just hope that it does make it's important to gel together, especially as young guys who are still trying to learn on the move basically right now. That's going to be something that's very important down the stretch of the season as time goes on. So those are my guys. Obviously, cornerback-wise, I'm looking forward to seeing how Algeria Sneed goes to year 2 as a starter now with this team. So his impact is going to be huge for this team. Seeing how they move him around because he played some nickel last year, and I don't think we're going to see as much of that anymore. I think he's going to be more of an outside guy more often than not. So seeing how he does more outside rather than inside is going to be pretty cool to watch as well. So a lot to look forward to, without a doubt, player by player on this team. And everyone's driven, Everyone, when you lose a Super Bowl like that, I mean, some of these guys are pissed. And then there's a lot of young faces who are fighting for a spot on a Super Bowl contending team, and they know that. And how cool it'd be for them, their young careers, to come in here and be part of that right away.
Be part of a winning team, right? That's the big thing.
Winning team and Super Bowl caliber team. So
yeah, these guys that are pissed off from last year, it's kind of like the 2014 Royals. They've got a lot to prove. In fact, they have everything to prove. You come off a loss like that, I mean, you should expect great things from a lot of these guys.
Absolutely. They were more driven after that loss, that Royals 2014, especially the way they lost,
Yeah.
So that was the hardest part for them. And for the Chiefs' sake here, losing to the, as we played week 1 here, not 49ers, but losing to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, I think that's just one of those things where it's going to stick in their minds for a long time because, Tom Brady is 2-0 against Mahomes right now in playoffs, in postseason play.
The GOAT.
Yeah.
By the way, Tanner, since you have such a hard-on for Cornell Powell, I do want to point out that he is going to be signing autographs at 2:30 on Sunday, 2:30 p.m. at the Kansas City Premier Memorabilia and Card Show. If you guys want to join one of the Buffoons, because I know all 3 of us aren't going to be there, the JG will be there on Saturday.
How much are you charging to sign autographs?
Oh, I'll do it for free, man, if you can find me. Nobody knows what I look like, but I'll be there on Saturday. But Cornell Powell will be signing autographs at 2:30, along with Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be signing autographs as well.
Bring this table with you to the casino and just set it up like this and start signing autographs.
Yeah, we could change our little sign out front, put Sports Buffoon or something like that.
Yeah, Sports Buffoon JG.
Fine,
yeah, I could do that, but I'll be making so much money playing blackjack that I wouldn't want to waste my time.
Oh, that's a good point. I like that quite a bit. All right, you guys. Well, that is our current Chiefs wrap-up. So we'll have plenty to talk about, obviously, next week. And we have some things that we've been discussing as well as far as doing some post-game analysis and shows where we come out right away after the game and do a little discussion, things like that. I think if you guys follow us on the TikTok, we will probably be putting some things out there. So I very much suggest that so that way you can get us immediate live reactions of how we feel about how game day is going. So, all right, you guys, let's switch it over to one of our main topics today, fantasy football. So, obviously, fantasy season is on the horizon. I did something really cool, you guys. I had this idea as a commissioner this year to put all of our pool money into Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is pumping right now, and I love it. I love the big pump from Bitcoin. So, basically, we're going to be taking our $300 total.
Yep.
It's all in Bitcoin. We're already up $80, guys. So, we're already up $80. It's only been 1 month since we began putting money in. And here we are. So
what perfect timing for it too,
Oh yeah, well it was down, so I was like, hey, I have this great idea. We're gonna make extra money, so we buy in 25 a piece, and then by the time January rolls around, Bitcoin could be up to 80,000, per Bitcoin. So that'd be amazing. So I'm hoping that's the case. But anyways, you guys, with that said, I just want to do a little humble brag for a minute. But Now, I did have something that you and I talked about, Jason, a little bit off air earlier today, but there's going to be some impacts this year with some of the new rules in the NFL, and especially with the COVID protocols and things like that. And I know there's a lot of people out there wondering and asking themselves and probably asking their friends, like, how much of an impact does it make now to look at your draft board and you're going to see maybe an unvaccinated player in your draft board next to a vaccinated, but maybe that vaccinated player is a little bit, not as good as the unvaccinated player. Like, let's say DeAndre Hopkins, for example, is on your board. Is he a guy that you would still trust in taking at his current ADP position? Or do you overlook him because you're afraid that he's going to end up getting suspended at some point, or not suspended, but, docked a game at some point, or, they're going to end up doing something within their protocols to remove him and the whole team maybe from playing in their game. Does that make an impact to you guys when you're looking at your draft boards at all?
It's very little for me. I mean, especially with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. So overall, you look at it, if they have to forfeit a game, that doesn't really affect me in fantasy. So the worst case scenario for me in fantasy is that these guys are going to have to sit out 2 games. So obviously, I'm not going to reach for these guys. And when I talk about these guys, I'm talking about Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins, Cole Beasley, Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins, guys like that. I mean, I'm certainly not going to reach for them, but I'm also not going to draft them at their ADP. So for me, I mean, if they fall, let's just say 1 round, especially guys like Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins, if I can get them 1 round under their ADP, I'm going to be all over that because, like I said, the worst case scenario, they're going to miss 2 games, probably only going to miss 1 game. And you look at guys like Lamar Jackson, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, those guys are superstars. So I'm not going to pass them up just because they start falling in my draft. I'm just not going to take them at their ADP. So I'm going to let them fall a little bit, maybe take them maybe 1 round later. And as far as guys like Cole Beasley, Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins, well, their ADP is all the same. They're all at 125. And so I can take those guys at 125. I don't really care. That's so late in the draft that I don't give a shit. But I mean, if you see these guys start falling, you're going to take them without a doubt. But I certainly wouldn't take them at their ADP. I'm certainly not going to reach for them.
Yeah, so like equal right here, ADP is Calvin Ridley at 20.1, and then Hopkins is 20.1 as well. They're the exact same ADP right now. So in that case, you're going to lean towards Ridley if you were going to assume he is vaccinated then?
I'm probably not taking either one of those guys, to be all honest with you, because, you've got the COVID situation with D-Hop, but then with Ridley, I mean, I don't really trust that. You guys know I'm a health freak, right? And when these guys show me that they're not necessarily going to be healthy for a full season, I probably wouldn't take Calvin Ridley either. There's probably a better option right in that range, to be honest with you.
I got you.
Yeah, I would say maybe treating it more like of last year with all the COVID stuff going on, right? For me, it's going to be a game of chances again this year.
Yeah.
If D-Hop is there, I'm probably taking D-Hop. Plain and simple. He just has more promise. There's more value there. I'm not worried about if he's vaxxed or not vaxxed.
So you're not going to let him fall.
No.
To be clear.
No, I'm not.
Because I'm not going to let him fall.
I think for me, it's just going to be kind of treating it like 2020. Anything could happen, but why? If the guy's there and he's in your board of where you want him to be, go for it. There's no sense of it. If you see a better player that might have, you're bouncing in between, maybe draft the other guy. But at the same time, it's a game of chance, guys. It's just like fantasy here. We're talking fantasy football. It's always a game of chance. We treat it like 2020. Go draft the guy. There's no sense in it.
And specifically with D-Hop, I mean, I'm not saying you have to wait a full round. I mean, if he drops 8 to 10 picks below his ADP, I mean, I have no problem drafting him. I mean, but I'm just saying I'm not gonna reach for a guy like that because we don't know what's gonna happen with these COVID rules.
Yeah, and the NFL is kind of out to get him. I mean, we've seen that throughout the rules. They're making it as hard as possible on these guys, so that's something to take in consideration as time unfolds. But I'm with you on that, Tanner, where it's a thing where anything could happen. It's not worth worrying about what if when it comes to this whole thing because we just don't know. I mean, this guy could play 16 games, not have one issue, no big deal. It's fine. And then again, you could draft Ridley, and Ridley's injured by week 3.
Yeah.
And so it's he could, don't give up on a guy just because they're, unvaccinated or it's publicly been put out there at this point.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to give up on them, but at the same time, you want to go into your draft with the expectation that they might fall. They have a higher level of
Correct. Yeah.
potential. The fact that they might
They-
fall.
they-
so.
Good, good value then.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to reach for anything,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
You
that's
gotta
in
be
general
you gotta
rule,
be
though.
ready to grab them if it's not in your normal strategy if they start falling.
Correct.
But then again, there's also guys, a lot of players out there that we don't know. They're keeping their
They're not
mouths
gonna
shut.
tell you.
They're keeping their mouths shut. They don't want to talk about it, and so
And you don't know.
there's some guys we just don't even know if they're vaccinated or not. So it's almost like just let's get it out of our heads and not make this any more of an issue.
Yeah.
So I'm the people out there listening. All I'm saying is don't let it affect your draft day decisions drastically. If you have a situation where it's 1A, 1B, sure, take the guy that you assume is going to be healthier and not cause a COVID issue in the locker room. So, but otherwise, don't sit there and make a big deal
It's
of it.
like, are you going to take Michael Thomas or A.J. Brown or Julio Jones, right? On that range. They're all injured bums at some point in the season.
We don't even know if Michael Thomas wants to play this year
Correct.
for that team.
Like,
That's
but-
a different
but-
situation.
But we know Julio does want to play.
We know
and-
Julio
and even though
does.
Julio's always injured, Tanner, he always plays through it.
I
so
know. I'm just telling
that's
you,
fine.
like, in a way, like from Jason's point, they're all injured bums at some point. So, like,
Well, Sammy Watkins, to
Well,
be fair, I looked it up on the Sports Injury Predictor today.
yeah.
You guys think I'm joking around? That website has him at a 90% chance of getting injured this year. So
Do you guys think the reptilian lizard of Sammy Watkins is vaccinated?
I don't really care. I'm not going to draft him anyway because he
No
has a
clue.
90% chance of getting injured.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we already know that's going to happen at some point. So, and he actually made a little comment about the Ravens and like how explosive their receivers are and this and that. And he said something about the Chiefs recently too.
Well,
and
so his comment was quickly. It was just about him saying, "Hey, I can get more targets here. I don't have to be.
Right.
I don't have to be
But
the distraction to Tyreek Hill."
also, if you're on the field, you get more targets too. So
Exactly.
that's
Like,
you
you
got to
gotta
be on the field
field,
more
too.
to get targets.
So that's all
So-
it was. It was nothing major. It wasn't like a cheap shot.
All right, so it sounds like we're pretty much all in agreement on how you should be looking at your draft day approach for the vaccinated versus unvaccinated players. Just don't overthink it too much. Take the guy if they're there, but also don't be reaching for him either. Just play it smart. You use your common sense and logic that help you out a little bit. All right, you guys. So we're gonna talk running backs today for a bit. So we've been talking each week, or at least we've been trying each week to be talking about. We did tight ends, we've done quarterbacks, we did wide receivers, and now we're to the running backs, which is in some cases essentially the most important position to take because they're very difficult to find. So we got a few hidden gems in our list here. Last year we drew cards. Today we were drawing names out of a hat. So got my Chiefs hat here, and we're gonna kick it off. So we're gonna name off the running back. You're gonna pick a card here. Pick a sheet, Jason, and so then you're gonna see the ADP. I want you to tell me if they're overrated or underrated on that ADP. And if you think they're underrated or overrated, tell me who you would rather take ahead of them or behind them. So. I'll let you go first, Jason. You seem like you're getting real anxious. This is not like Halloween candy, so be careful over there. It's one card. There you go.
Gosh, I can't even read your damn writing. Can we do the damn cards next time? What the heck? Okay, we got Miles Sanders of the Eagles. 36.4. So I'm going to go with overrated on him because I've heard reports out of camp that he is evenly split between him and Boston Scott. So I'm going to go overrated 36.4. I'm not a big running back guy anyway early in drafts, but I'm certainly not going to go at 36 with Miles Sanders because that could be a split backfield.
Yeah, Jason, we actually had a commenter recently ask us about Miles Sanders.
Yes, we did.
So he was wondering about where he should be taken at. I think the guy's on the rise, though. Even though he's going to be splitting carries potentially with Boston Scott and Jordan Howard's there. But I think that Miles Sanders, his yards per carry is 5.3. Like, that tells me the guy has explosive abilities. So he could be a home run hitter, and I would definitely keep him on the radar. I don't know if 36.4 is going to be great. But
I mean, your next one up there is David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins. Like, maybe
Yeah.
maybe Dobbins in the way would go down, but I'd take Sanders. I wouldn't take Sanders over Montgomery.
I would. Yeah,
You
Sanders
would?
over Montgomery? Over David Montgomery?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I would take Sanders
All
over
right.
Montgomery.
Well,
I'll
I've also heard reports that the organization doesn't trust him to stay healthy based on his injury history, so that's why they're trying to get Boston Scott more carries. So
Gotcha.
not taking him at 36. There's no way.
All right, Tanner, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next.
We have 9 running backs we're going to talk about here.
It's all one. All right. Kareem Hunt, Browns, guys, 57.6. So Kareem Hunt, guys, is also splitting carries with the recently signed Nick Chubb. So, but he was also really effective when Chubb was out, but he was also effective with Chubb in. He was more of a receiving back for that point, and I think that's where you're going to get a lot of your points this year. I kind of threw up here little cards here that I also have made out from last year's stats, last couple years. And Kareem Hunt is a force last year for this Browns team, and Baker Mayfield looking to expand his game a little more with Odell Beckham coming back into play. And I think Nick Chubb will be mainly your main down running back, but Kareem Hunt's going to go out there and get their red zone touches.
That'd be interesting to
That's
see
kind of my
how that
thoughts.
goes.
Now,
Yeah.
57.6, I think he's fine where he's at on that part. I don't see no reason why
Yeah,
you should go.
that round would be 6th round, 4th pick.
Correct.
Would be the average round on that. So
Correct. Yeah.
That's probably
And
fair.
You got guys like Miles Gaskins, Daryl Henderson Jr., and Josh Jacobs ahead of you. I think you're kind of fair on keeping that Kareem Hunt right around that range.
And there's always the upside too. If something was to ever happen with Nick Chubb, then Kareem will step in and he'll be RB1 right away. So
Correct.
That's something to also consider.
Yeah, I agree. 57 should be about average for him.
Yeah.
All right, my next pick here, we got Chubba Hubbard of the Panthers, actually.
Chubba Hubbard.
So we were going to do top 50 running backs. He falls just under the top 50, but he's an intriguing one to me to see how how the season plans out for him. Obviously, he's a big name, obviously, in college football, so we know he's got at least some explosive ability. But I think that this is actually a pretty fair pick for him at this point for the Carolina Panthers. I think that he should be taken in that range, but I would not be afraid to take him over guys like J.D. McKissick and Tarek Cohen as well. I think that, even a guy like a Todd Gurley, I would actually take him over Todd Gurley at this point because Gurley, he's trending downwards, and we're not seeing the better part anymore of Todd Gurley of this life. So, and Alexander Madison's ahead of him. I think I would take Hubbard over any of those guys. I just think the upside there with the Panthers, and that's going to be a run-first offense, without a doubt.
Correct, and he's going to take over the role of Mike Davis that had a great year last year with McCaffrey out, and also even with McCaffrey in, he was still effective, and he was a great fantasy value for where he should have been. So this is a guy definitely to keep an eye out for if you're looking for a late-round running back. It's not a bad pick at all.
All right, we're looking at round 15 on this, guys.
Correct.
So.
You also have the number one handcuff in all of fantasy football.
That's true.
At some point, so.
Yeah, it's true because we saw when McCaffrey went down last year when Mike Davis stepped in. Mike Davis put up McCaffrey numbers. So,
exactly.
I mean, this could be a guy that does something very similar if he's a step in right away and make an impact. But, then again, we also hope that Christian stays healthy too. So
yeah, dynamic player.
Jason's up next.
Right, we've got Najee Harris of the Steelers. So his ADP is 21.0, and my brother actually got to meet Najee Harris because he went to high school out of the San Francisco area, and so my brother told me that this guy is just a great guy. He's a workaholic, and he's going to be a great football player. And so at 21. I understand that he's not really a proven commodity right now, but I'm going to go with properly rated here. So I'm not going to say overrated, underrated. I'm going to say he's properly rated at 21. I know for a fact the Steelers are going to run the ball more than you think they're going to run the ball this year. So it's not going to be like the old Steelers with Antonio Brown where they just throw it and they go for 2 every single time after they get in the end zone. So it's going to be a run-first offense, and so I love Najee Harris. I think he's properly rated at 21.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, he's going to be used a lot this year. So.
Do you guys really think he'll be that effective, though, to be that high in as a rookie?
I think volume-wise, I think he's just going to be kind of force-fed over there, and Steelers have done nothing but praise him. And then we saw him a little bit in preseason week 1 of the Hall of Fame game. So we just see him. I think how many carries did he get? 7 carries, I think.
Yeah, seven carries.
Yeah, he got in there quite a bit to begin with. So I think he's going to be a guy to definitely watch out for. So
interesting one. All right, let's see here what we got today. Leonard Fournette, guys, with the Bucks, 86 and a half. Is that right? 86 and a half?
Yeah, 86.5.
Man, that's a high one. This guy is actually at the top of the depth chart currently. For the Bucks, and that's kind of interesting part of why he's so high. If you look at or guys kind of around him right now, you got Javonte Williams with Denver. Ronald Jones is actually ahead of him as well, and James Robinson are all up ahead of him. But then you got Damian Harris for New England, Mostert for San Francisco, and Melvin Gordon III for Denver as well. So, I don't know.
Well, him and Ronald Jones are basically together right there. They're the same spot.
I mean, they're going to split, I think, for sure, again this year. It's going to be kind of a repeat. PPR-wise, though, if we're going to talk PPR, I'd say he's probably right where you want him to be because he's going to be right in that range. I'd take Ronald Jones over him for sure. As far as that, I think Ronald Jones will have more upside of getting additional yards, additional receiving yards as well. Then Leonard Fournette's going to be kind of your pound back again, where you're just going to pound him into the end zone every time or first down.
I thought in the postseason last year he looked great.
He did.
I mean, Fournette looked like how Fournette should be looking last year in the postseason.
First couple years of Jacksonville kind of the style. But,
yeah.
But I don't know. I just think the gameplay will kind of be similar to last year, where you have Ronald Jones taking a lot of the receiving snaps and also maybe the starting job in the end.
Yeah, I think for me with Fournette is like, I don't care if they're splitting carries. I mean, if you have a good running back on a good team in fantasy, I'm going to go with underrated here on Fournette because you got a great offense, and if you're a good running back and a good team, you're gonna have a great season. And if Ronald Jones' second gets injured or something like that, he's going to explode. You're going to have an RB1 instantly. So I'm going to go underrated here on Leonard Fournette at 86.5.
Do you know exactly where you might take him at?
I mean, I'd probably go at least where Ronald Jones is.
Okay.
I mean, Ronald Jones is at 71.9. I would take him at 71.9.
Right around there.
I mean, they're basically the same fucking guy, so.
That's not a lie.
All right, guys, I just drew my pick here, and I've got Ezekiel Elliott coming in at 7 ADP on this list. So he is sandwiched in between Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb. So I think without a doubt for me, Ezekiel Elliott's going to break out once again this year. He's going to make up for some of the lackluster performances he's had here recently, and I like he's down at least 10 pounds from his last playing weight was 228 now to 218, which is much healthier for where he needs to be at, and he's shown it in camp. Looks slimmer. He's going to be faster. He's going to be more of that Ohio State Ezekiel Elliott and what we saw the rookie year. We're going to see more rookie year Zeke come back and return back to the NFL once again, and I think he knows the Cowboys team. To me, like I said earlier, when we did our NFC East breakdown, that's a playoff team. That's a 10-win team to me. And I think if Zeke is going to be, a big part of that, then it's going to be necessary for him to be in control of his weight and of his performance and playing like he did a few years ago, his rookie year. So I think Zeke at 7 is actually underrated. I would take him over Jonathan Taylor. I would probably take him over Alvin Kamara even right now too, because Kamara is going to have a little bit of a downtake due to Drew Brees being gone.
You don't think we'll go into Kamara later, but you don't think Kamara will be the main guy with Thomas out? Like Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill are going to look for somebody.
He's still going to get touches
year.
without a doubt. I think that the actual efficiency.
Elliott. Now, are we for Elliott, guys? Elliott's a big one. Cowboys. Dak Prescott, is he an issue for Elliott? If Prescott's not healthy, are we seeing maybe Elliott being not as great this year?
I don't think it's going to make an impact at all on Elliott when it comes to the running game. The offensive line is still great. We already know that. So I don't think Dak is going to make an impact one way or the other on Zeke. Okay. And he might impact the motivation because Zeke is a guy who's, like cryptocurrency, up and down on motivation. You never know what he's going to do each day with some of that. So
it's like Dennis Rodman.
I don't know if we go that far. maybe not that extreme, but I don't think I don't think Dak has anything to do with Zeke's performance this year.
No, he doesn't. But I do think that Dak is, for the most part, healthy. I mean, I don't think he's going to have a career year. I think it's going to take him, at least a few games to get back in the swing of things. I do think Zeke is properly rated here, though. The only guy that I would take ahead of Zeke is Saquon Barkley, just because of the upside.
Really?
Yeah, I think Saquon Barkley. I mean, if he's healthy at this point, he's going to explode.
Yeah, he just returned to practice.
Much better talent than Ezekiel Elliott. I mean,
Man.
Especially catching the ball out of the backfield. So.
Yeah. All right, Jason, you're up next. Go ahead and take a pick.
All right, we're going to go with Travis Etienne at 62.9. And I'm going to go with underrated on this guy.
Really?
Just slightly. And the only reason I know this is because this guy is an elite talent. And I know that the coach has said that he's only going to be playing on third downs I'm not buying that shit. This motherfucker is going to be used all over the field. And, 62.9, I think he has tremendous upside, and even if he only plays on third downs, I mean, what if the starter gets injured? I mean, I'm a big believer in this guy, so
Yeah.
I think he's slightly underrated. I wouldn't jump too high. Like, I wouldn't reach too far for him. Maybe like 58, 57, somewhere in there. But I think you're going to get your money's worth with this guy because he is a fucking stud.
I wish I could figure out where I saw it, but I saw Travis being actually positioned as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I can't
He's gonna be
recall
using the
where,
receiving game a ton.
but it was nothing about an RBWR. It was a wide receiver position. I mean, are we looking at like a who was the receiver, Montgomery for the Packers? That
Yeah,
situation? Ty Montgomery.
Yeah.
Are we looking at that? Maybe the kind of that style of player?
Well, something to think about too, just real quick, you guys. He's also playing with his college teammate Trevor Lawrence, so let's take that into consideration as well. I think it's a great fit between those two, and as far as in the passing game, I mean, Lawrence is comfortable with throwing to Travis Etienne. We already know that,
Yes.
so I think Etienne, without a doubt, guys, he ran a 4.3, so I mean, the dude's fast as hell. He's going to be definitely a playmaker without a doubt. I like him over guys like DeAndre Swift, and I like him over Daryl Henderson, and I like him over Myles Gaskin.
Okay, Kareem Hunt or Travis?
Between the two of those,
Between the two. Because they're right next to each other
they are.
ADP-wise.
they are. And then, yeah, that's a tough one between those two because, it's the old upside game where Kareem has probably more upside due to volume share if something was to happen to Nick Chubb. But Etienne might be more explosive than Kareem Hunt. So
I just think the Jaguars organization is trying to downplay what they're going to do with him this year because they've been saying all along, oh, he's just a third down back. I mean, they spent too much of a high draft pick to only use him on third downs, and I think they're just trying to downplay his effectiveness, and I think he's going to explode this year.
All right.
you might. All right, Tanner, you're up next. We got 2 more picks to go.
Two more.
Oh, yeah.
Myles Gaskin, the Dolphins, guys. 52.4 is where he's at. And that is right around the same as Kareem Hunt. And
He sucks.
Travis. I knew it was coming. So, kind of interesting for Myles Gaskin, guys. He had a struggle year last year. He was hurt for, almost the entire year, I think, after a couple weeks. So, it's hard to take him at this spot, I believe. You also got Malcolm Brown, who they, as well, in that depth chart that is fighting for the spot. And they are talking about being a split field. And Malcolm Brown's actually kind of been taking more snaps with the first team from what I've been reading from Myles Gaskin. So, I don't know. It's kind of a risky pick.
I mean, we talk about the guys. I mean, he's ranked right now ahead of Kareem and Etienne and Mike Davis, Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, I would say this is not a guy I would pick at this spot. I definitely would wait on this to see if he drops.
Yeah.
I think it's too far of a reach at this point.
He's got a lot to prove, too.
I'm going to go with slightly overrated here just because we don't know what to expect from the Dolphins this year. I mean, the Dolphins could have a good year or they could just take a step back. We don't really know what to expect from them this year. And if I'm trying to draft a good running back on a good team, I mean, 52 is a little bit high for me.
Yeah.
I guess I would say slightly overrated on Gaskin.
All right, guys, I just did my last pick here in our last pick, a little game here. I got David Montgomery of the Bears at 32.9. It says ADP. He is actually sandwiched between J.K. Dobbins and Miles Sanders. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is also just 2 spots ahead of him. For me, he is overrated at this listing, at this spot, because I think the guy's okay. He does get plenty of touches because the Bears don't have a lot of options to begin with in the backfield because obviously the other things they've been messing around with, he's the healthiest option at this point for what the Bears are trying to do. He did have 1,000 yards last year and 8 touchdowns, averaged 4.3 yards a carry, which is serviceable. I just think that he doesn't have the upside that I really value in a lot of running backs, where I like some guys like Josh Jacobs, who's ranked lower than him, to be much higher than where David Montgomery is coming in at. So I think you got more upside with that. I also would take Miles Sanders over David Montgomery as well. Is Montgomery a safe pick? Sure. I mean, if you're not caring for trying to hit a home run by any means, I guess you could take him, but then again, you're going to be spending a third-round pick on him. So for a third-round pick, I'm out for the David Montgomery show.
I would say it's a safe pick if you're just talking about volume, but it kind of goes back to what I said about Gaskin with the Dolphins. I mean, how good of a team do you really think the Bears are going to be?
Okay.
And our defense is going to be keying on David Montgomery, and if they are, I mean, I'm certainly not going to use my 30-second pick to take him.
The issue for you guys here is quarterback play, I'm hearing, right? That's kind of what we're worried
No,
about.
I want a good running back on a good team.
That's all?
So if you have a good running back on a bad team, a la Barry Sanders,
Tanner,
that's a bad example.
My issue is
but
talent. I don't think David Montgomery is that talented.
Okay.
That's my issue with him.
yeah.
Not as talented as others, anyways, that are still on the board. So
Okay.
that's what it comes down to. He will get volume. He'll
No,
get
he's
shares.
got plenty of volume.
He'll probably hit 1,000 yards again on the ground and probably 10 touchdowns. But I don't know. I think you can do better than David Montgomery.
Yeah, we don't want
third round.
1,000 yards on this show. We want 2,000 yards.
Yeah, we want
fuck
Derrick
him.
Henry.
Fuck him.
We want all that good stuff. But we want it in the third round. We want value. We want value. All right, guys, let's switch it on up here. So we have skipped the last 2 weeks. We're doing a breakdown every single week of our, basically going down each division. So we started off with the NFC East, then we moved on to the South and North, and I can't remember the order we went in, but now we are to the NFC West right now. So we're looking at the Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks, 49ers, and the Rams as well. So let's kick it off right here. I want to talk about the Arizona Cardinals to begin with, and I love this team. I mean, I love the talent. I love that they got A.J. Green out there again now. So, he's on a new team for the first time in his career. And he's got a lot of talent with DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk is also a good slot receiver. In the backfield, working with Chase Edmonds and James Conner. So just amazing talent all the way across the board. And not to mention our guy Kyler Murray, a quarterback, Max Williams as tight end. So I love the talent they got. I think it's a fun team. They did add J.J. Watt as well in the offseason. So Zaven Collins as well at linebacker. So I just think that there's a lot to work with here. This is probably going to be, it's going to be tough at the end of this season. I think this is without a doubt a playoff team. In fact, I'm going to say this is a NFC Championship contender without a doubt. But as long as these guys stay healthy. We already see J.J. is on the PUP list. I mean, he's already having injury issues, back issues. That's going to be a problem probably all year. So just keep that in mind. But Steven, even regardless of that, they have Corey Peters as well. So, I mean, there's guys that can move around, and they have depth, at least within pretty much every part of their team. So to me, without a doubt, Cardinals are probably going to win this division, in my mind.
You think they're the favorite?
I think they're going to win this division. And I'm going to put them at 12-5 is their record in my book. What do you guys got?
What you got, Jason?
Well, right now, the Cardinals are plus 600 to win the division. So I think this is obviously we all know this is one of the best divisions in the NFL, if not the best. But the Cardinals plus 600, I actually do like the bet. I'm going to say they're probably going to go 10-7. And I like the additions of J.J. Watt. I don't really care about A.J. Green. I was trying to look him up on Sports Predictor injury. The same way that I did Sammy Watkins earlier, because I'm like, if Sammy Watkins has a 90% chance to get injured, A.J. Green is like 89.5.
Is that like
right?
one of the top things you look for at any team?
Well, when you're dealing with fantasy, you want to know if your guy is going to get hurt,
That's
right?
fair. That's fair.
So, I mean, I don't care about A.J. Green. I mean, the way I look at these guys, I love the addition of J.J. Watt, but it's like, what are we looking at here? So, is this like the Atlanta Hawks of the NBA? Pre-Trey Young, where this is the team where players go to die. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like they added Rodney Hudson to the offensive line. I like that.
I love that pick.
Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, he's got a lot to prove in his fourth season. Kyler Murray. If I'm drafting fantasy, I'm all over Kyler Murray. He's going to explode this year. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to draft.
Rushing yards plus all the weapons.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And he improved his QBR from the first year to the second year. So overall, Cardinals. I mean, I'm gonna go with 10-7. I just don't trust them yet. I think the Rams are going to be a little bit better this year.
Yeah, I'm almost pretty similar to yours as well. I think they're an 11-win team, right? So I'm going 11-6, just because they do have some tough games on the schedule, right? They open up with Tennessee and Minnesota right off the bat. And then, I mean, you got Green Bay midway through the season, a potential San Francisco team division that you're probably going to split with them. And then going back to Seattle. So they got some tough games on their schedule. But Mike, I might have missed it. Did you touch on the running backs? for these guys?
I just mentioned
Chase Edmonds?
Chase Edmonds and James Conner.
Guys, James
Yeah.
Conner and Ito Smith from the Falcons is there. For
Right.
like, you got three guys with starting experience.
And Edmonds is supposed to be the starter right now.
Correct.
But James Conner, we all know, can be a starter too.
Yeah, we've seen that in Pittsburgh. So, like this team, and like you said, I think they are a high favorite. I look at Isaiah Simmons to have a fantastic year and to become the superstar that he is supposed to become, being a versatile.
It's going to be a fun team to watch.
Oh man, I'm excited.
There's a lot of talent on that
I do
team.
agree on them being the favorite. I would go at 11-6 though, just above Jason's 10-7.
And to my point earlier, I did look up the sports injury predictor on AJ Green. He only has a 58% chance of getting injured this year, which
Hey.
kind of surprised me. I thought it would be like 75, 80%, but if he stays healthy, dude, that's a different ballgame.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
That I'm telling you, there's a chance.
He's got a quarterback now. He's just more motivated to want to stay healthy too. So
Yep.
let's keep that in mind. So nothing against Joe Burrow, but I mean, Kyler Murray's a little bit better at this point. So
Yeah.
all right, guys, let's move on now to the LA Rams. Is now the next on our list. They finished off last season at 10-6. Still a really good team and still one of the best defenses in the entire NFL, if not the best, when you look at the talent across the board. But offensively, they got rid of some dead weight with Jared Goff and added Matthew Stafford. I think this is a great move for the team. I think it's great for the Rams. I'm rooting for Matt Stafford to have a good year. So I'll say that. I think we all kind of are. Now, they've already had an injury to the running back situation. So at this point, Daryl Henderson is their current starter. And we'll see how that unfolds. But this is going to be a pass-happy team right away because you're still working with Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, and Robert Woods. And Deshaun Jackson is there as well. So it's still going to be a pass-happy team. So, guys, think about fantasy quarterbacks. Stafford should be on your radar once again. So take that into account. But really, it's that defense with, obviously, Aaron Donald. And they got Jalen Ramsey, Taylor Rapp back there at free safety. Those are just some great players along the way. And the scheme itself is great. I mean, those guys get pressure every damn play. So I like this team quite a bit. I think this is going to be an 11-win team, so 11-6 is my pick for the Rams.
Yeah, so the Rams are the favorite right now at plus 180 to win the division. And we know they're going to have a top 5 defense. I've got them going 12-5 this year. And we all know that Matthew Stafford is a big dick gunslinger. With the Lions, he threw for 45,000 yards, 282 touchdowns, and 144 interceptions. I like the fact that they added a 48-year-old Deshaun Jackson. Gives them an extra weapon over there. I think Daryl Henderson is going to blow up this year. They're going to try to go running back by committee. But I think in terms of fantasy, you should pick up Daryl Henderson because, he's going to blow up. And I like the Rams to win the division.
Oh man, I actually agree with you. What was your pick again? Your record?
12-5.
That's exactly what I got going down the way here. I just love the additions. I love the fact that Cooper Kupp has been consistent year in, year out. And they added a wide receiver, Deshaun Jackson, as well. A guy that
He's 48 years old.
Hey, he could be a potential
He
deep
can
threat
blow
still.
up. He can
All he
blow
needs
up.
to be is he doesn't need to play every down, but he could be a potential deep threat, and that could free up Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods both up here. So I love that. Love Daryl Henderson Jr. this year, being able to explode again this year. He did really well last year. As far as the defense side, guys, we all know they're all studs back there. I had no concern here, but yeah, I'd say I agree with you, Jason. 12-5.
All right, after that, we got the Seattle Seahawks next on the list. The division winner, actually, last year finished off 12-4 and put up 459 points with only 371 allowed. So actually, it was a team that was very much high scoring, but also would give up a lot of points at the same time on the defensive situation. So the secondary right now, they're sitting with Trey Flowers as well as Jamal Adams. I think that's going to be two big names where those guys got to make sure they step up and be consistent this year. I think that's the big thing about how this team gets beat over the top. I think the safeties before Jamal Adams came along did have some things, there's some issues without a doubt. So I enjoy Bobby Wagner, still a good player. But they did add Dwayne Eskridge, actually, throughout the draft. So that's got to be watching for as a receiver. It'll be pairing up with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. This team pretty much is the same as last year as far as the way I view it. I don't see a ton of major upgrades and additions that stand out to me by any means that make me think too much differently. I just think that the other teams in this division got better. And so I think by default, through them getting better, the Seahawks just moved down a little bit. They're 10-7 for me.
All right. I am actually going to go with 10-7 as well. Now, they are projected to come in third in the division. They are plus 275 in the odds. I got a problem with their defense. Obviously, Russell Wilson, I do expect him to play at an MVP level this year, especially with his new offensive coordinator. I like the addition of Gabe Jackson on that offensive line. They gave Tyler Lockett an extension there. I love the offense, but it's just like we know what they are, and for me, that's 10-7.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. 10-7. That offensive line is going to struggle to protect Russell Wilson in this division
Again.
Russell Wilson is going to be upset again, and it's going to be really unfortunate to see. We're talking about a Russell Wilson team, guys, being third in the the here, which is crazy.
This is a good division. That's what I mean.
It's a great division.
Default, if other teams getting better.
This is still wild card potential here. Wild card potential going.
But he can put up the numbers to make a play for the MVP this year.
But man, this is. I'm worried about the offensive line syncing up and protecting Russell Wilson again.
I think all the teams in this division got better, but the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks stayed the same.
Yeah,
everyone else improved.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
All right, what's your prediction for
10-7.
10-7. We're all 10-7?
Yeah, we're all 10-7.
We all agree.
10-7. Okay. Sounds good to me then. All right, we got one more to wrap it up for the NFC West. We got the 49ers, who struggled quite a bit last season with injuries, obviously, from day one. Preseason, they had tons of injuries. Nick Bosa was down right away. Quarterback situation had problems. And they're finally, hopefully going to be healthy this time around, so where they are ready to roll coming week one. We had to see a little bit of Brandon Ayuk as well as Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
They stole Trent Williams from the Chiefs. The Chiefs wanted Trent Williams, if you guys remember.
That's right.
At one point in the offseason before they traded for Orlando Brown Jr. So Williams chose, actually, the 49ers over the Chiefs. But I think, the problem's going to be they drafted Trey Lance. That's great. But Jimmy Garoppolo's still there. And I'm not a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. I think he is what he is. He's a guy compared to other quarterbacks. It's just not going to ever do anything special, and especially with unproven receivers as well. So, they're working with Mohamed Sanu as their third receiver. At this point, it's not going to be real pretty. And I like Sanu. He's fine, but there's a lot of guys there that have a lot to be desired. I do think that Raheem Mostert should put up good numbers fantasy-wise.
Great numbers this year.
But really, it's going to be that defense that carries them for any of the wins that they do pick up, because you're still working with Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tart, Jason Verrett is there now. So take them into consideration, as well as the return of Nick Bosa, and Eric Armstead is going to be involved as well on the defensive line. So I think this is, it's maybe an upgrade from last year, just based on addition, because you got your injured guys back healthy now. And so for me, this is going to be a 7-10 team.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 11-6 here. They are plus 200 in the odds. So they're projected to come in second in the division, and I think it's because of all of the injuries that they've had. You got George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. They didn't play a whole lot last year. My biggest problem with this team is, we don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback position. It's going to be a circus. Every day the media is going to come in and say, "Oh, who's the quarterback this week?" Well, we don't fucking know. Well, throw Trey Lance out there. Well, throw Jimmy G out. I think Jimmy G could be traded to another team mid-season.
Who's going to take him?
A lot of desperate teams out there for a quarterback, Tanner. Denver Broncos are desperate for a quarterback.
They got 2 starters right now.
Those guys suck. Anyway.
I think I would roll the Bridgewater over Jimmy Garoppolo.
I would go, but
personally.
We'll hit that, but still,
Well, reports out of camp is that Jimmy G is the starter as of right now.
So who breaks out then? If you're thinking this is an 11-win team, who's breaking out that's going to make a big impact and rise them? Because if you're going to win 11 games, your quarterback situation is great.
Yeah.
They're not screwing around, are they?
It's all about George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, and do we trust them to stay healthy? I don't trust this team to stay healthy all season long. I just think they're not quite as good as the Rams, which I put at 12-5. But I do think they're better than the Seahawks. So that's why I've got them at 11-6. I think that something's going to happen. They're basically like the LA Chargers at this point. We're going to expect them to get injured every fucking year. They're going to have this great fucking roster, and then something happens.
You're putting them over the Cardinals too.
So you're
yeah, I'll put them over the Cardinals.
So you're saying the Seahawks are 4th in the division, San Francisco and the Rams
No, I've got
One
the
and two.
Cardinals and the Seahawks at 10-7, both. I have them tied.
So they're tied for third.
I've got them tied. This is one of the best divisions in the
You have
NFL.
every team in this division at 10 wins or more.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Wow, that's
I do think it's the best division in the NFL.
Yeah. Hey, I actually agree with more on Mike's side. Actually, I think this is unfortunately going to be the team that is in the losing area. Jimmy Garoppolo will be the quarterback. Now they also have Josh Rosen, right? Who's been screwed over the entire his NFL
I don't
career.
even know who that is. Who's Josh Rosen? Does he suck?
He was a good college quarterback for UCLA.
Yeah, he was
And
good
then
in
he got
college.
screwed
He was
over in
good in
Arizona,
college. There
screwed
you
over
go.
by the Jets, screwed over by somebody else.
I don't know. Rosen played for the Cardinals. I mean, he's been tossed around a bit. So.
But anyways, like going down the roster here, I'm a little worried about health, like you said, but I love the pickup of Alex Mack at center. I would love to have him on my team.
Sure,
but
of course.
We got Creed, but we'll be all right. Defense side, I mean, it depends if they stay healthy or not. Really, I mean, we got to see how everybody kind of bounces back. I think they're a 7-10 team. I don't think they. I think Garoppolo stays the starter the entire time. I don't anticipate Trey Lance playing at all this year. I think Josh Rosen will play before Trey Lance.
I'll give them one thing. They have a great coach. Kyle Shanahan is good at what he does. So.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that their defensive coordinator is D'Amico Ryans?
No.
Yeah, he's the former Texans linebacker, D'Amico Ryan.
I didn't even realize
Texans and
that.
Eagles linebacker, D'Amico Ryan is their D coordinator. Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
There you go. Fun facts for you guys.
So just real quick, do you guys trust Jimmy Garoppolo to stay healthy for a full season?
No.
No.
That's part of what my prediction is at 7-10 too. Is like I don't trust that, and I don't like him anyway. So for me, Trey Lance isn't going to be ready.
Hey, they got Nate Studfield too. In
Right?
fourth.
Nate Studfield's back there.
Studfield's back, man.
Studfield.
Yeah, he's there. All right, you guys. Well, we have now finished the NFC portion of all of our
Yes.
discussions. So if you wanted to know what our thoughts were on your Cowboys, or we had our friend join the show, or any other random team for the NFC, go ahead, look back at some of our old videos, and maybe we'll post some more things for TikTok. That way
Yeah.
you can get on there for some more hot takes as time rolls on, as things go. So next week, Tanner, what are we doing? The AFC Southeast?
East.
AFC
I think we
East.
go straight AFC East on this
Let's
one.
do AFC East next week. So we're talking some Patriots and Dolphins and all in the Bills.
Maybe
of course,
the
so.
newly signed Josh Allen to his big extension. So
Yeah, there we go.
we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. Getting to the AFC side of things, because we only got 4 weeks left, guys, before week 1 of the NFL season.
Crazy.
So,
It's here, guys.
it is coming right up. So we'll finish up the day before kickoff on a Thursday, or before Thursday, I should say.
Correct.
All right, you guys. Well, that wraps it up for our show today. So we will be back once again next Wednesday. Give us a follow and like on the YouTube. We'd appreciate it very, very much, as well as drop us any questions as well. We already did answer one question today about Miles Sanders that we got. So if you guys leave questions in the comments, we will always answer them on the following show. So leave that out there as well. So any final thoughts, guys?
Hey, I just want to let them know, guys, we are on TikTok now. Sports Buffoons is, of course, the tag. Come follow us. You'll probably see us if you follow sports on that category. So we are on there. We're also on a few more social media sites as well. So always check us out, Sports Buffoons.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot on TikTok, especially with the NBA, since we're in the NBA offseason. So
That's right.
if you want to know anything about free agency or preseason NBA, be
Drafts.
sure to look the JG up. He's going to be posting some stuff on TikTok for sure.
Yeah, and we're also going to try to do more Chiefs content coming up for you guys too as we get rolling in the season here. Excited for it. Excited for the season.
Ready for Saturday night. So I will see you all on the next one.
JG out, Tanner Daw out.
See you guys.